So I did this class last year for Autodesk University 2007. We got really good feedback, so I decided to present it again, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So my name is Louis Marcoux. I'm a technical specialist for 3ds Max and also visual effects applications for compositing. I'm in the Media and Entertainment division. I'm based out of Montreal, and today I'm going to talk about creative animation techniques to reveal models in advanced visualization projects, probably the longest class name you've seen this year. Basically, this is my agenda. And the way, when I attend classes, you're probably the same way as I am. I'm probably worse, but I usually don't get everything when I'm listening to a class. I have a very short attention span, so I prepare the class for people like me. So what you're going to do today, you're not going to take any notes because anyway you're not going to have time. I speak too fast. So you're going to listen to what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the stuff, and it's all written in every detail. I've given you a handout that has a lot of information. Everything that I'm doing today is written in the handout. So your homework will be, as soon as you're going to be done with the class, you're going to read the handout, and you're going to understand what I'm going to do a bit deeper. And also, I'm going to give you another homework on the last slide, and that homework will allow you to replicate exactly what I've done today at home, in the comfort of your home, and have the time to review all of the content that we've seen today. So it's funny because I have 7 points, so all of you that were in the keynote was that on Tuesday? We have to have 7 points, so I kind of liked it. So oh, that's exactly 7. I didn't know that, but maybe that's my thing about not understanding everything in the class. So first we're going to reveal with mask, we're going to reveal with pro Booleans, we're going to reveal with Loft Object Reactor, we're going to do some particle stuff, and we're also going to do some MAXScript. And at the end, you all have those glasses on your seat. We're going to do some anaglyph stereoscopy, and you'll be able to bring that back home. Those glasses are yours. If you see some on the other seats, you can bring them home, and you'll be able to do stereoscopy at home at the end of this class. So let's jump right away into the class. The way that I'm going to do the class again is first I'm going to show a bit of theory just to put everything in context. Then I'm going to jump in 3ds Max, do it so that you can see it. And then I'm going to show you the final rendering, and we're going to jump from one subject to the other in this kind of fashion. And again, at the end, on the last slide, I'm going to give you a homework, and you're going to bring that back home and be able to do that at home. So this is how I look like. Now I'm going to sit down. You're not going to see me again because I'm going to be hiding behind the computer. So let's go and start with reveal with mask. Revealing with mask, the idea is quite simple, is that materials like standard material, the arch and design material, have this property called opacity or transparency. So basically, everything that is white in a map that is the opacity or the cutout will be opaque, and everything that is black will be transparent. So we're going to use this property of materials to define how we want an object to go from transparent to completely opaque. So with that, we're going to reveal the surfaces one after the other. That sounds a bit simple like that, but what we need to think about is how we want to reveal that model, in which direction, which faces we want to see first, and how we want the model to appear on screen. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a gradient ramp, a special type of map. We're going to create a gradient ramp, and we're going to define how it's going to be applied to the model, and that's going to be creating an animation of revealing with masks. So the first thing we need to do when we want to reveal with mask is to take a look at our geometry and try to identify how we want to reveal it. What's first, what's coming next, and also if you have any faces that you want to reveal simultaneously, you need to identify them as well. It's basically planning your animation before we jump into the technicality of doing the animation itself. Then we take all of the faces and we flatten them in the UV space, and the UV space will kind of become our animation editor. By flattening all of the faces of your model, you'll be able to see them in the UV space, and you'll be able to orient them and place them in the order you want to make your animation. So that's kind of the idea. So if I want to reveal this model, for example, from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, in that kind of direction, and I want the top to be revealing at the same time, what I'll be doing here in the UV space is I'll place all of these faces, you see the correspondence here, and my gradient animation will go from left to right, and all the faces that are here will be revealed in the order that I want. So that's kind of the logic of this technique. The UV space is very important, and we're taking that gradient ramp animation, and we're going to reveal the faces one after the other. If you want to do a rough reveal, and I'm going to show you that in a second, sometimes you have geometry that's, either it's very complex or you don't want to reveal it like very precisely. You can also do, you know that you have a gradient animation, so you can apply a planar map to your geometry and define with that planar map the direction of your reveal, and it's going to reveal from one side to the other, that kind of thing. Couple of considerations before we go into revealing with mask. We are going to work on the opacity channel or the cutout channel. Probably if you've done a model and it has materials and it has the diffuse map, you'll be using the map channel 1 for your UVs. Maybe you have a tiling, maybe you use the world scale. So we're going to try to avoid the map channel 1. We're going to always use map channel 2 or 3. Use one channel that has never been used for the diffuse or the bump or things like that. I try to avoid tiling and mirroring because we want to have very precise control of how the UVs will be working for our model. And I don't use real-world scale for that kind of animation, and you'll see why in a minute. And also, just quick parenthesis, and that's something new for this year. I use the 3D SMAX 32-bit version. It works very well in the 64-bit version, but for some reason, when I do the gradient animation in the viewport, it kind of slows down the viewport. So just a quick note that if you're doing any type of viewport animation, viewport manipulation with this gradient animation, if you're using the 64-bit version, it's just a little bit slower. So don't be surprised that it's slower than on the 32-bit version. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump in 3ds Max, and I'm going to give you an example of how to do this. So I have a file here, and it's kind of an interior. And what I want to do with this interior, I want to reveal from the back to the front so that this structure is constructing around the audience, around the camera. So what I'll do is I'll just isolate the floor and the stage to show you the full technique. So this is the first geometry that I'm going to reveal, and I'm going to show you the edge faces so we can see the faces. So what I want to do is I want to reveal first. I want this to be going from the back, revealing this way, this way, this way. I want the floor to reveal in the center section from the back to the front, and the sides here, I want them to grow from the middle and then going to the outside. So that's how I want to reveal this. I can change my mind, I can do something else, but for this class, for this particular example, that's what I want to do. So the first thing I'll do, I'll go into the material editor, and I'll grab the material from the object. This is just a flat matte gray material, but if it had a diffuse map here, if it had a texture or anything like that, it's not a problem. We're just going to grab it, and we're going to make sure that what we're doing in terms of UVs and mapping does not affect the diffuse map. So I'm going to go into the last rollout here, where it's called Special Purpose Map, and I've got the cutout map, and that's the one that I want to animate. It's not the transparency map, it's the cutout map that I want to use for the arch and design material. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to apply a gradient ramp, and that's my gradient ramp over there. I want to animate it to go from complete black to complete white, and I want to reveal from the left to the right. So what I'll do is I'll add a new flag here, and I'll go in, and when I add the new flag, I just click with the left mouse button. Then I select the flag, and I go in Edit Properties, and I'm just going to set it up this way, where the one on the left here will be completely white, like so, and the one on the right here will be completely black, like so. There you go. And now what I've got is this gradient that goes from white to the left and black on the right. And depending on how far those two are away from each other, we define the softness of the edge there. And I want that to animate from left to right. So what I'll do is I'll go in Auto Key mode. And when you go in Auto Key mode and you're doing any type of animation, especially for design visualization, what I do is I tend to use the linear mode for the default key type. If you go in Smooth, it's going to start slow, and then it's going to accelerate, and then it's going to go slower. When I do these type of animation, I try to use the linear mode so that it always goes at a constant speed, and I have a much better control over how it's going to reveal. But you can choose any type of animation, default animation that you want. So I'll use this linear mode now. I'll go in Auto Key mode, and at the beginning, at frame 0, I want this flag here to be at position 1, so that the complete left, and they cannot overlap each other. So the first one is at 0, this one will be at 1, and this one here I'll put it at 2. So that's the gradient at the beginning of the animation. I'm going to go at frame around 30, and I'm going to make this flag here go to position 99, and I'm going to grab this flag here, and I'm going to put it at position 98. So I'm done with the gradient animation. If I scroll the timeline here, this is going from left to right, so we have this white going in and revealing and becoming opaque over the currents of the animation. So what I'll do now is I'll make sure that it's visible on the model. So I'm going to turn it on in the viewport. You see that right now I'm using map channel 1, so I don't want to do that. It was in my consideration slide. I'm going to use map channel number 2. So now it's getting the UVs from map channel number 2, but the UVs are not defined for map channel number 2. So what I need to do is on this editable poly, I'm going to apply the Unwrap UV Modifier. I'm just going to close the material editor here. And I'm going to go into Unwrap here and say in the map channel that I'm going to use is going to be the same, 2. And we have up to 99 channels, so we can go up to 10 to 15. If ever you got a lot of maps, you can go up as high as you want. You want to make sure that this reveal, the cutout map, the UV map for the cutout is kind of on its unique channel so that we don't affect anything else. So we got channel number 2. I'm going to select all of the faces for this model, Control A. I'm going to go in Edit mode, just to show you all the faces are selected. I'm going to turn that off here. And I go into Mapping, Flatten Mapping. And what I do is, here we have a face angle threshold, so everything that is in the same plane or same kind of, within the 45-degree threshold will be mapped together. I want to make that to 0, so I'm going to right-click here and say face threshold of 0. So now all of the faces are all separate, and I can define how I want to reveal them because they're all separate. So I want to start from the back. I'm going to zoom out here so we can see everything. It's hard to work at that resolution, but I'll try to make it as best as I can. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to start from the back. So that's the faces here that I want to reveal first. I'm going to grab them here and put them to the left. I'm going to reveal from the left to the right. That's going to be very important. I'm going to grab the edges here at the top to see on which side of this they are. So they're on the left side, so that's good. I want to start from the top there. So I'm going to just make them to the left, and then I'm going to go and start putting the faces that I want to reveal on the right there as I want to reveal them. So to do that, I'm just going to click on those edges here, right click, and I'm going to use this stitch selected. This is kind of the lazy way of saying whatever is next to it, just put it there. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to grab this, lazy way of saying put the adjacent faces there. Same thing here. I'm going to grab the edges and say stitch selected, and it's going to put everything back there. So now all of this will be revealing from the top there. It's going to go to the right, to the right, to the right, and it's going to reveal the front here in the end. But this is my 1x1 space for UV space, which means that my gradient goes from this side here to the right side, and hopefully you see the dark blue on the projector there. So I want to have everything here to be contained within that UV space. I'm going to scale all of the UVs so that they are all within that space. And the fact that we're stretching in all directions, it's not that important because our gradient goes from left to right, and it's totally white on one side and totally black on the other side. So the vertical lines here are, doesn't matter if it has been stretched or not, it's not going to be a problem. So what we have now, if I scroll the timeline, we see that this is revealing from the back to the front, which is pretty much what we want. But we want the side here to reveal from the middle towards the outside. So that's a small challenge we want to add there. So what I'll do is I'll go in face mode, and I'll grab those faces here, right click and say break. So I'm breaking that away from the center portion. Same thing here, I'm going to say break. And now what I need to do is just place that after here, because in my timeline I'm going from left to right, so I'm going to put it at the complete right, and I need to turn them. So this one here I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, place this about right there, grab this here, minus 90 degrees, put it right there, so that it reveals after. And again, I'm outside of the 1x1 space. I'm just going to reduce this here, like so. And now we're inside of the 1x1 space, and I can scroll the animation. You see that it's going from back to front, and then we go and we reveal the side. So basically, if you plan how you want to reveal your faces, you plan that first, and then after that you go into your UV space and you place them from left to right, and you animate this gradient, and you can get this type of effect. So that's one of the object here. I'm going to show you, now I was showing the gradient in the viewport. So Max can show transparency in the viewport. So I'm going to go up one level to the arch and design material, show the material itself. So now what we get is this, is if I turn off the edge faces and deselect the object, like so, we get this type of animation where it reveals the way that we want it to be revealed. For the walls, I did exactly the same thing. So if I, show the walls, if I go here, it reveals this first, and then it starts to show the walls. And the wall I've done exactly the same thing. I've put an Unwrap UV Modifier, and I reveal from the back there, then I've created the doors, and I reveal the sides and then the front over there. So we get exactly the same type of animation, same type of thing. So it goes from the back to the front. And for the columns in the middle, what I did is I got a bit lazy. So I took all of the columns there, and I put a UV map, and I use a planar map. And you see the gizmo here is oriented so that the top is here. That's the indicator that the top is there. So our gradient will go from the bottom to the top. And it's exactly what's happening with the columns there. They're just mapped exactly in the same way. So they're revealing one after the other. And I've done exactly the same thing for the ceiling here. So what we get in the end is an animation like this, where we got, if I go back to the beginning, rewind, and play, the first thing getting revealed, then it starts to construct, and we revealed all of the faces. So if you plan correctly, you're going to get all of these things work perfectly for you. I've done a rendering here, just to show you the idea. And what I've done for this is I've applied a tile material to the, so I've rendered at 1280. Here we go. That's what the kind of animation you can get out of that. So that's revealing with masks.